things go haywire. Things like, trust me, things will go haywire. Wake up on days feeling that this is not working. I should probably shut it down. I basically belong from a tier 3 government college. Majority of the engineering students out there, I gave JE, right, but couldn't get a decent rank to get into probably one of the IITs. In college, we didn't have any sort of coding culture. And guess what? In the next 2 days, you're sitting in Germany. You're sitting in France, right? I feel the kind of doors it opens, it really is fascinating. He called me up saying that you should quit your job right now. Anything and everything can be learned within 8 hours. If you want to learn something new, you can do it in 8 hours. But you probably would not be able to do it if you don't have.
Hey everyone, welcome to School of Computer Science Engineering podcast at Alvi Virtual University. Today we have with us Mr. Jaideep Prasad, founder of Mentro and a product-driven tech leader. Jaideep has 7 years plus experience in companies like Classplus, Vedantu, Geo, Trell. He has been helping these companies build scalable tech. He has been a 2-time Google Summer of Code contributor. It reflects his open source contribution and understanding. Through Mentro, he has brought in a product for students and tech leaders to get guidance on strategies and understanding, and just not think to coding, but beyond coding. Through his platform, he has been able to give insights on open source, product thinking, interview strategies, AI development, and building a strong career in tech. Hi, Jaideep. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
So let's start with your career journey, because that, as we have been discussing, it's a fascinating journey. Someone who is there in university, every student should understand about it, how your journey went. So let's start from there.
Sure. So I basically belong from a tier 3 government college. Like probably majority of the engineering students out there, I gave JE, right, but couldn't get a decent rank to get into probably one of the IITs. Did well in my state level entrance examination, got into a good government college. So started my journey from there. In college, we didn't have any sort of coding culture. Open source is something probably that no one had ever heard of, right? Let alone, Google Sum of Code or something like that. So yeah, come from there. Probably one thing that I started doing from my very first year of college is exploring a lot, right? I would spend most of my time on the internet. Back in those days, we didn't have anything like ChatGPT like we have today, right? So YouTube was there, Google was there. Spent most of my time online. Came to know about a lot of things, terms like open source, terms like software development, which I didn't know about earlier. And I was just super intentfully, I just started building things, right? So for example, mobile application development is something which had gotten into me very early in my career, right? I just started building applications. I started building mobile apps. I just enjoyed doing that. And it started from there. I came across this term called open source. I was really fascinated about it. Did online research. I never planned to apply to any such of these programs like Google Sum of Code or anything like that. It was just sheer fun for me when I just started working on one random project under one open source organization called AOSSIE, which also happens to be the largest open source organization across Asia. So just I was contributing for fun. So I personally believe that when you do something that you enjoy, right, you are more likely to do good in that, right? You have more chances of getting success. So that's the only thing that sort of kept me going. And I eventually got accepted or cracked Google Sum of Code in the first year of my college itself. And the kind of doors it opened for me, going forward, right from doing internships at multiple tech companies, doing full-time jobs, leading engineering teams, building my own company, like you name it. So yeah, I think it's been a game changer. The only thing I would say, what I would say that I did differently is being super disciplined and doing the boring stuff day after day, right? So yeah, I would say that would be one key takeaway from my college days if I had to go back.
Okay. Now, as you mentioned, open source opened multiple doors with you. Let's first talk about the conception. So at times people get confused and they are not able to differentiate between what is an open source and what is a project. So faculties tell them to do a project, some mentors tells them to do open source. Can you differentiate for the students in a very polite manner that, okay, open source projects, this is how it differentiates, this is how they're same?
Sure. So I personally would want to define open source in very simple terms. Let's say you build a project, right? You build a project locally on your machine, locally on your computer. Now, what if you want to show it to your friend, right? Of course, you can probably build the application, you can deploy it and show it. But if you want to show the code base, right? How you have actually written the code, how you have built the application, so you need to upload it somewhere. You need to host the code base somewhere. And when you do that, you're automatically open sourcing your project, right? So there are platforms like GitHub, GitLab, where you push your code base of the project and it suddenly becomes publicly available. Uh, and while you do that, it also becomes visible to other people, right? It becomes visible to your friends. So let's say your friends looks at your project and he or she finds something very interesting that they want to probably change or work upon for themselves. So they raise a pull request. They do a contribution to your project. So that is literally what open source is. When you do this or when you see this at a larger scale, uh, I'm talking about, let's talk about, companies who have, built similar projects and have publicized it, right? They have, put it on GitHub. They have, put it on the internet. That's literally what open source is. Once the companies do that, automatically a lot of developers, students across the world, see those projects, get interested, and want to contribute. That's literally what open source is, and the ethos around it. So open source is literally public software. So anything and everything that you see on the internet, the code base that is publicly available, that's open source. It can be on any platform. It can be on GitHub, GitLab. That's it. But the concept which I just mentioned, it's literally no rocket science.
Great. And how do creating a project that they do and then going for open source, which is the most prominent manner that they should go with?
Sure, I think that's a great question. A lot of first year students have this confusion. Second year students have this confusion. I personally emphasize that you should definitely build a lot of good quality personal projects first, right? Projects that are on your machine. You are building it alone in your room, because I personally believe that it gives a lot of confidence, right? So you need to build a lot of self confidence that you are capable of building things, you are capable of working on things before you actually even think of contributing to someone else's project, right? Some other project. So you need to have that self confidence, because otherwise what happens generally here is students just go about doing open source and they get overwhelmed, right? Because they don't have that self confidence, they have not worked on projects before, they don't have good personal projects. So that is where they suffer. Students drop off just because of that, because they don't have that self confidence when they go on to work on someone else's project. So I personally believe that students should definitely focus on building their own projects first. They should build some 3 to 4 quality projects. Now again, I'm not talking about building another Amazon clone, another Netflix clone. I'm talking about some serious problem statement that they might solve, some quality industry project that they want to build a replica of. I'm completely okay with that, but they should at least learn something. The whole
Do
goal,
it on their own,
exactly, do it on their own.
not just
Absolutely.
copy paste.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the confidence that they will generate from here, that will take them the longer, way, right? So when they will see other projects, other company projects, they will, get that confidence that they can actually contribute to that. So I would say definitely this would be the way if I had to do it as well.
Now the pathway is clear. Do your projects first. Once you have done 2 to 3 good projects, understand how the coding works, you can read code bases, graduate to going for open source contributions, and that's how you want students to go about it. Now, what are the advantages? Because certain times students feel that they are contributing, but they're not looking at what is going to be the outcome. So I contribute for a year. I do pull request. I have created my Git profile. It's there on GitHub. I've done multiple pull requests. I've given multiple comments, multiple peer review. So what is this benefit that they reap out of it once, as you said, that it opened pathways for you, it opened doorways for you.
Yeah.
So how does open source accelerates your career or supports you in your career growth?
Right. Yeah, I personally believe, and I'd love to, take a minute speaking about this. Open source really is sort of a playground for, in the initial years, even before doing an internship, doing a job, right? You actually get to experience the similar environment which you probably would be doing, ending up doing when you, let's say, take up an internship, but in a non-structured fashion, or probably in an open environment, right, where no one is there to criticize you a lot in terms of why this is not being done. There are no set targets, right? So I feel you get to learn the entire SDLC. So SDLC is software development lifecycle on the internet with the help of other developers sitting around the world, right? So you, when you contribute, right, automatically what happens is these developers who are the maintainers or the admins of these projects, they take a look at your code, right? They give you suggestions, they drop comments. Now these suggestions and the comments which they put, they actually help you improve your code, right? How you write code, which probably you won't be able to get anywhere else, right? It's literally free mentorship.
Yeah, I was
that's
about to
that's
say that.
that's literally how I see it, right? You don't need to pay to anything to anyone, and you're literally sitting at your home, you're doing work and you're learning by doing. I feel this is probably the biggest leverage which open source gives in terms of the exposure and experience for students. Other than this, I sort of recently came to realize this and would love to share that I think open source opens a lot of international opportunities, which probably students crave for, and probably think of doing things like masters and going outside, going abroad from India. The kind of network that you create during these open source contributions are mostly with people who are either living in Europe, living in the US, and if you are actually able to build some good relationships during this period, more often than not, whenever there's an opening in their company or there's an opportunity, you will be the first person that this mentor or this team person would think of to even rolling out an offer,
Correct.
right? Because you're already in their network, you're already working, or even you can reach out to them. Is there an opening in your company?
Correct.
And more often than not, they will say yes to it, right? So that, and guess what? In the next 2 days, you're sitting in Germany, you're sitting in France, right? So I feel the kind of doors it opens, it really is fascinating, and I think that's something which no one talks about a lot. But I know a lot of people who have been benefited from exactly this by tapping into this network and getting a lot of international opportunities. So definitely, I would say these two things is probably the biggest benefit that someone can get from open source.
Great. Now, certain misconceptions that are there about open source, which stops people from jumping in. That you can highlight that these are certain misconceptions which you should avoid.
Right. I would say, there are a lot of misconceptions about these particular programs in open source. I would love to, highlight that. Because the open source in general is a very community driven thing.
Correct.
It's a sort of, if you had to give another word, it would probably be non for profit. Like it's at
Correct.
least from that angle, people look at it, non for profit for the tech community, right? Now, there are a lot of these programs, such as, let's say, the Google Summer of Code. Uh, One misconception is that Google Sum of Code is an internship at Google, right?
Yes.
It's not. It's essentially nothing but a mentorship program where Google accepts a certain set of organizations, provides them the funds required, and there are students who get accepted by these organizations to work for their projects, and Google internally pays them, right? So the payment is actually happening from Google, but it happens via these organizations, and it's actually a mentorship program. It's not an internship program, it's a mentorship program where these students work with mentors of these organizations over a certain period of time, let's say 3 months for this case. So that is what it is. So I would like to highlight this, that these are not internship programs, these are mentorship programs, and the more benefit you can take out from this in terms of the kind of network you can create, the kind of learnings that you can gain from throughout these programs by working closely with these mentors and your other peers around you, I would say that is the biggest gain, not probably the tag or not probably the money that you will end up earning. But yeah, I would definitely say this would be one big misconception in open source.
Thank you. Now, in open source, there's something saying as you should have a product thinking mindset. If you're working in open source trying to contribute there, why does it matter to have a product thinking mindset for engineers, for even freshers who are now entering the industry?
Right. So more often than not, actually, you'll be working on real life projects. Like, I'm talking about, products like probably Google Chrome, VS Code. All these are open source products, right? Their code base is literally out there on the internet. So you can literally, make changes, make modifications to these, products. So when you're working on, such production grade projects already, you need to think very effectively, right? You can't treat it as a, dummy project, a personal project. So even if you're making a single line change in that, project, you need to think how it will affect the end user, right?
Okay.
So if you're making a, button change, probably if you're even, changing the position of a certain button, you need to think about how exactly it will affect the end users. Probably will it help them in any way, or will it not? If it's not, then probably you should not make that contribution in the first place, should not even invest your time. So I personally believe that since you're working on projects that are actually in the market being used by people, that's where I feel that you need to have that empathy, that not treat it as a personal project, but think of the problems that are actually relevant and go about solving those particular problems.
Great. One important question, the buzzword which is there, it's all about AI. So
Yeah,
I'll club it two questions into it so that it becomes easy to go about it. One is what would be the impact of AI tools on coding and interviews that are going to be there, and then how would it impact the skills which are needed for freshers to enter the industry?
sure. I think that's a great question. I personally believe that the more advancements that are being made, right, in the tech ecosystem, the more important your fundamentals become, right? So fundamentals, I'm talking about things like mathematics, probably, right? So if you want to be a good techie, if you want to do good in the technology ecosystem, build cool things, work at great companies like Google, Microsoft, I would say be super good at your fundamentals. Don't run behind the buzzwords. Don't jump on, tech stacks, things that you just are hearing for the first time just because people are saying that, okay, this is something which is hot in the market. But be super resilient on learning the fundamentals well, right? So things like data structures and algorithms become so much more important now that AI has come into the picture, because your problem solving abilities will get tested,
Correct.
right? So having good problem solving is something that can't be replaceable as per my opinion, right? So however good the AI is, uh, companies will still look for good problem solvers. Companies will still look for people who can just come in, take up any infrastructure that the company already has, and can literally, find solutions with it, right? So I would say problem solving and fundamentals is something that is going to remain constant. Of course, you will find a lot of people now using AI tools in terms of their daily development, their daily coding. Using AI is fine because, of course, I feel that it speeds up your, work time by, by manifold, right? You will free up a lot of your time if you just use AI. But yeah, so I would say use AI ethically, but at the same time, keep a track of the fundamentals that you're learning, right? So yeah, that's something I would say.
Now let's change a bit of gears. Now let's get on to the entrepreneur side of yours. You founded Mentro, and how has been the entrepreneurship journey? Why did you think of starting it? And how has that startup journey been till today?
Sure. Yeah, I think one thing about being a founder, or being in the game, is the journey is a roller coaster, right? So there'll be ups, there'll be downs. I remember I started Mentro as a passion project for me when I was in my final year of college, right? It started as a passion project. One fine day, I was working as a software engineer at Vedantu, and the chief product officer there actually, recognized that I was already building this side project. So he called me up saying that you should quit your job right now. Here's a check. So he wrote me my first angel check, right?
Okay.
And that's where the journey began. Then we went on to raise venture capital fund, and went on to build the company for around 2.5 years. Uh, and I think the journey is definitely a roller coaster. There'll be ups, there'll be downs, and you need to just be super resilient. You need to sort of have this, sense of perseverance, where even when there are times when things go haywire. Things, like, trust me, things will go haywire. You will wake up on days feeling that this is not working. I should probably shut it down, right? But that's where you also need to, take a look at your drawing board and see why you started in the first
The
place.
vision.
Yeah. So what was the exact problem that you were solving? So if that still makes sense on the day that you wake up feeling that things are not working, if that still makes sense, you should just continue doing that. That's it.
Great. Now, the transition that you from techie to your entrepreneurship, you building Mentro, the importance of mentorship and community development, where students come into, maybe we call it peer learning and all. So how much important it is, because that's the problem Mentor is actually solving. So how much impact does it make?
Sure. I think the one best thing about Mentro is that we have been able to create this amazing community of professionals, community of mentors. I think a good community is built when people really resonate with the problem statement, really resonate with the vision what you are trying to solve. So we went out to solve the very specific problem of, of course there are a lot of these learning resources, there are a lot of ed techs building a lot of courses, degrees, but still people fail the final step where they are actually having to crack a particular interview, right? So we wanted to solve that step in the funnel, and we built a product, right? We built an application, we built a holistic solution where people can come to us, they can just put the target where, like, let's say if you want the SD2 role at Zomato, they come to the app, they put the target, and they get matched with a SD2 who is working at Zomato, and this person is mentoring them. So I would say, this leverage that we have got, that okay, you can even come to us and say that you have the target company of XYZ, right, which probably has 50 employees in itself, but we probably will still have a couple of people who are in our community. So this community is our leverage. So any company, any organization, any program that you name of, we have that community. So I would say community is so important, and that's exactly on top of which a company like we exist. So yeah, I would definitely say community is probably one of the biggest factors for the success of any good company. You can take any brand, take example of Nike, take example of any good brand. You will find a group of people who really love that product. You'll find a person who is wearing Nike sneakers would not go to something like Adidas, right? So that's how a community which is really devoted to a product should look like, and I really believe that we have a community like that.
Great. Now, at the last, the advice you want to give out to students who are targeting strong tech companies. What would the advice, if they're, let's say, starting their career as first or second year students? What's the advice where they should focus more right now in this AI era?
Sure. I think if you're a student in your first years are supposed to be for exploring. I personally believe that, and it continues to remain the same. uh, Explore as much as possible. Don't just get or be stuck with something just because probably your degree says so. Let's say you have an AI degree and people are talking about AI, and just for that reason you are learning AI only for that sake. I believe you should explore other things. Probably there's DevOps, there's mobile app development, there are a bunch of other things, there's blockchain. uh, Explore things, see if there's something else that interests you and you enjoy doing that. If you're able to find that one thing out of 5 6 things, probably you have found that thing that you want to spend at least 1 year or 2 years of your life. See, you don't need to you know find that thing that you probably will spend the rest of your life on, because trust me, that's very hard to find, because that's the kind of world we are living in, that our interests, our influences change so fast. But yeah, explore as much as possible in your first years. Try 5 6 different things, and yeah, just pick or stick with one thing that you can spend your next 2 years, and choose something that you really enjoy doing. So yeah, for all the first years, or people who are even just thinking of starting something, or doing something in the tech ecosystem, explore, fixate something, and then go on to probably newer heights. When it comes to the industry, you know learn things that are actually being used. Of course, you'll be seeing a lot of these AI tools coming into the picture, especially in Silicon Valley. The development is immense. Every other day, something or else is getting launched. So stay updated. I think that's where Indian students lack a lot. Which is staying updated. What's exactly happening in San Francisco? Uh, Being updated, whatever update, let's say OpenAI is launching a new GPT tomorrow.
Correct.
You should be the first one to experiment with it.
Experiment.
So the more you experiment, the newer opportunities you open up for yourself. I feel that is something where Indian students lack. So I would definitely encourage more of that from Indian students.
And if I talk about how much importance they should give to the fundamental courses, so because there's a constant fight with AI coming in, that I should start learning AI tools, I should start learning from the upper end, scratching the surface rather cementing the base, like maybe going for understanding database properly, understanding a programming language properly, data structures properly. So sometimes these fundamentals get lost with these new age jargons like data science, all of this. So how much weightage should they give to a fundamental versus a specialization?
I would say definitely no questions asked. Probably full focus to the fundamentals, right? Spend at least good amount of time in making those fundamentals clear. Because trust me, once those fundamentals are clear, I was just looking over Twitter the other day, and I just came across this line that someone tweeted. They said that anything and everything can be learned within 8 hours. So any like that's the human capacity, right? So he just mentioned that if you want to learn something new, you can do it in 8 hours, but you probably would not be able to do it if you don't have the solid fundamentals. So probably spend as much as your initial time on clearing and solidifying your fundamentals, the basics of it. And then once you're done with that, probably you can learn anything, like let alone AI. Probably any concept, any domain you can pick up and probably close, within 8 hours or maybe a week. So that's something.
Great. Thank you, Jerry, for taking out time and being with us. On the last note, how was your experience coming into the LP for the first time, and the journey with and the sessions with the students?
Sure, pleasure's mine. I would say definitely one of the most beautiful campuses I have ever been to. The students, the variety of students, students coming from different backgrounds, but still doing so much interesting things here in the campus. I was just looking at those exhibitions that you've had. So many cool things, right, to look forward to. Uh, so definitely, I would say one of the best campuses, the best set of students, right? The different backgrounds from where people come and collaborate. I really see a lot of collaborative environments here. A lot of discussion rooms where students are sitting together, building stuff. The other day, one student came up to me saying that they are building an app for the faculty in the college itself, and the faculty is using that app as well for their day to day work. So that fascinated me, that students are taking interest in solving problems around them. So yeah, definitely a super amazing experience. The sessions I had were really great. The feedback from the students. So yeah, I'm looking forward to probably coming again.
Thank you, Jadeep, for taking out time and being with us.
Sure, thank you.